Kia ora koutou, Markie here with a slightly unusual retroactive jealousy video, which may also appeal to fans of New Model Army. So two completely different audiences and unconnected subjects, and I'm going to try and link them together, which is foolish to say the least. So excuse the messy background. The reason I'm kind of sitting in this position is I'm facing my computer screen because I want to read to you some song lyrics. Okay, because what I want to talk about is the New Model Army song Vanity. Okay, why do you want to talk about that song, Markie, and what has that got to do with retroactive jealousy? Well, in a sense, bugger all. I wanted to, because at the moment I'm doing it because it's lockdown at the moment. If you're not watching this straight away, if you're watching this at a later date, for the COVID-19, and I've set up a daily program. Videos for people who during the lockdown can work through, do some healing work on themselves around their retroactive jealousy. If you're not sure what retroactive jealousy is, if you come from the New Model Army school, I'll put a link to one of my videos that explains what retroactive jealousy is. So one of the things that I would normally kind of recommend to people as part of their retroactive jealousy recovery is to go to a mountain or a graveyard. That might sound macabre, but I don't think graveyards are scary places myself. I usually find graveyards very peaceful, in the same way that mountains can be very peaceful, even though both, are awe-striking. I think that's probably why they're peaceful. Maybe kind of some strange kind of paradox, really, that they're both peaceful and awe-striking. So what I would normally say is go to a graveyard and contemplate on this, or go to a mountain and contemplate on this. But you can't if you're on lockdown, so it's tricky. So I was thinking about different ways that we could make the same point. The point being that we get very het up about lots of very small things. But when you look at the enormity of nature, or the huge mass of people that have been born, lived their lives and died, how that kind of puts our crazy thoughts into perspective. So that's the connection. So this is particularly relevant for retroactive jealousy, but it's kind of relevant for lots of things, really. I think it's relevant for all of it. I think we should all go around graveyards and go up mountains. But as we can't at the moment, I want to do the next best thing. And I wanted, a song came to my mind that kind of summed up some of what I would have wanted to convey in this kind of mountain and experience. And this song, Vanity by New Model Army, does actually uses that very analogy, but says a lot more, and it's got a bit of a twisty turny bit in it as well. So I'm going to read some of the lyrics. Okay, I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to read the ones that really stand out in terms of what I want to kind of convey here. Okay, I mean, I could talk a lot more about New Model Army because I love New Model Army, and some of the most intelligent lyrics in music. There's just one thing I've learned through everything I've done and tried, everything I've justified. It's all vanity. All vanity. We try to have control. Or it's all vanity because chaos rules it all. Okay. So I think it's an interesting thing about control, isn't there? Because particularly with RJ, there's a sense that we, that there are things that we don't like on this earth and in this life, and we kind of feel that, if we think hard enough about it, we can kind of think them away. We can kind of control that, make that disappear. So scroll down. So camera's especially shaky because I've got one hand on there. Mouse. What do you call it when it's a laptop and it's not a mouse and it's that little board? It's not. So it's not a mouse, but you know what I mean. Right, okay, so remember how it was out at Bunglass. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, I probably haven't. We climbed up to the peak and, sorry, this goes, that's it, I have to extend it because it's given half of the lyrics on a page, you have to go to the next page. Remember how it was out at Bunglass, we climbed up to the peak and stood against the rocks. The photographs came, you couldn't see us, we were lost against the mountains like specks of dust. I love that, I really love that. And it's true, you know. There's a mountain near me, and mountains are kind of funny things, really. You can kind of look at the mountain, and it doesn't look that big, you know. It looks like a kind of straight cone. But actually, you know, it's like a whole landscape when you get there. It's like a kind of mountain after mountain after mountain before you get to the, you know, the central kind of peak, if you like, where the summit is. And you think it wouldn't be that big. You think that if you got your binoculars out, you'd be able to see people climbing up, and you can't. They just disappear. So we're lost against the mountain like specks of dust. So this is about our insignificance next to the mightiness of nature. And the mirror never lies, it's just these foolish eyes. And we all see what we want to see, what we need to see, what we have to see. Okay, so it's not what goes on in life, it's not your partner's history, if we're talking about retroactive jealousy, that's the problem. It's how you see it, it's your eyes. Well, not literally your eyes, it's your mind. But eyes, obviously, an analogy. Okay. So let me see, that they're the main lines that I wanted to read. So another bit, we talk about saving the world. It's our vanity gone mad. She'll survive us all perfectly well when we're all long buried and dead. Yeah, again, you know, as human beings, we just give ourselves such an inflated sense of importance. You know, that we talk about destroying the planet. We won't destroy the planet, but we can, you know, easily and probably will make the planet inhabitable for us and a lot of other creatures. But it will carry on. You know, life on Earth won't end with that. It will carry on and regenerate far better without human beings on it. She'll survive us all perfectly well when we're all long buried and dead. Clever monkeys with technology, barely out of the caves and the trees. So yeah, does that kind of convey my point that how insignificant we are, and therefore sweating over, you know, what your partner has or hasn't done is just insane, really. It is an insanity. It's a mental illness. So, and there's the sound of this song. I mean, I like this song, but I find it gets me down. There's something very bleak about the sound of it. So yeah, and it's kind of it sounds very kind of cynical, like, you know, there's no meaning. I think that's the kind of message I get from the first kind of part of the song. And something about destroying that sense of meaning is actually very important. And I've talked about this a little bit before when I've talked about a book, which is called something along the lines of The Power of Fuck It. I've lent it to somebody, so I haven't got it handy. I've mentioned it in one of my book reviews. I don't actually like this book because I don't like I find the way the author's written it is, there's a kind of very contrived kind of sense of humour in it. But the essence of it and the message of it I do like, which is that we take things way too... I'm just looking at myself and I look like a vicar. So I've got a white shirt and a black shirt. So I'm not actually a member of the clergy. But yeah, I could pretend to be one, couldn't I? Sorry, ADHD, distracted so easily. What was I talking about? Yes, meaninglessness, or it's not necessarily about meaninglessness. That's taking it to the other extreme, really. But it's about so people with retroactive jealousy and a lot of other conditions and a lot of other problems imbue too much meaning into things, and therein lies the problem. Hence, that's why that book was written, The Power of Fuck It. And we tend to be taught that, you know, it's good to, you know, have meaning and be meaningful and search for meaning and find meaning. But actually, you find too much meaning in things, we over romanticize them and we turn them into kind of these big, kind of scary behemoths. You know, these big behemoths. No, that's not even the right word, is it? Almost kind of monoliths or temple columns. You know, we turn them into these big, imposing, sacred things that really they're not, you know, because we're all specks of dust on the mountain, and we're all worm food. It's not a very nice analogy, is it? But it's true, you know. So not having, so meaning and purpose is important. It's very important. I'll talk about it in some other videos, but injecting too much meaning into things is equally damaging. So it's about that middle point. Nearly everything in life is about finding that middle ground, isn't it? So that's what this song says to me, and it's interesting. So the bleakness that I was talking about before, I kind of saw myself in the mirror and thought I was a vicar. Um, the kind of twist in the song comes towards the end, where the kind of mood kind of changes. Um, and we've got, I turn my head away from here, down towards the rolling seas again. I kneel and worship where I can. The ground comes swirling up and through these veins. Okay. So that, to me, that's kind of describing spirituality. Not religion, but spirituality, in that sense that you're connecting to something bigger than you. Okay, and that can give you purpose and meaning without you feeling that your thoughts and your life and what goes on in your head is the be all and end all. Okay, so yeah, it goes away from that bleakness to the mood of the music changes. It's interesting because I haven't listened to this for years and years and years. Listened to it today, and it's funny when you listen to things after a long gap, and you notice things that you didn't remember from before. Like the drums sort of stood out for me, and there's a lot of rim shots on this, and I kind of quite like that. I thought that was quite nice. So yeah, the mood of the music changes. So it's almost like a kind of a second part to the song, if you like, that goes into this thing. So it's kind of saying, I'm my little head, all the things I worry about, all my petty attempts to kind of control everything, and want things my way and agonize over, all my little whims. I'm nothing. I'm a speck of dust. I'm a speck of dust on the mountain. I'm not going to be around forever. The planet will live on for millennia after I've gone, and there'll be no physical evidence that I ever existed. I'll be not even dust. But we are actually part of something bigger on some level, or we can connect to something bigger on some level, which can give us that sense of meaning. But it's not this sweaty little ego, me kind of meaning. Okay, so I think that's what it's about. Now, I think what I want to be careful to say is this kind of philosophical approach to retroactive jealousy only goes so far. Okay, I'm not a believer that just by kind of changing your philosophy and adopting kind of different ways of looking at the world, that's going to cure your retroactive jealousy. Although I do believe that it has had a profound effect on some people. I think some people have found that that's done it for them. I've heard people say that, and I'm why would I disbelieve them? However, I think for the most part, philosophy is a part of recovery, but not the whole part of recovery. I mean, the main part of retroactive jealousy recovery is kind of quite boring cognitive behavioural therapy stuff, which we've kind of covered already. I say boring because it's kind of quite methodical. It's very practical. It's great because it heals people, but it's not very sexy. Whereas philosophy is quite sexy. So yeah, but there is a place for this, and there is a place for when this lockdown is over, for going up the mountain and going to walking around the graveyard and looking at the graves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to link this to the daily program video, and so it will be this is a standalone video in itself, but this is also a video that I'll link to the daily. This will be episode 22, I think, of the daily RJ free recovery program. So if you've watched this now and you also watching the recovery program, you don't need to watch both. You've already covered this one, but there will be other exercises and other things to do on that other video. So, New Model Army, wow, yeah, I mean, they're brilliant. I just, Justin Sullivan is really one of my heroes, really. What a fantastic mind, really. What a fantastic wordsmith, and a fantastic wordsmith and a fantastic musician, fantastic songwriter, fantastic performer. Hats off there. So I hope that was helpful, and Rangi Marie. See you soon.